Now at 9, we see how folks at Marian Days in Carthage are beating this intense heat.
How Caney, Kansas is dealing with a water shortage. I'm Fernanda Silva and I spoke with the city manager to understand what is causing the drought and what residents can do to help.
And the Neosho, Missouri Animal Shelter says it's at full capacity.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Tanya Bach. The city of Caney, Kansas is experiencing a severe water shortage. Authorities in Caney have categorized the situation as a stage 3 emergency. That's the top of the scale. It means residents can use water only for essential activities. KOAM's Fernanda Silva has the story.
This school year will start a little different once again for students from the Caney School District.
Unfortunately, we've been through this before, and so it's good and bad, but by having gone through it already, we have some efforts that were very successful last year. A lot of those are very familiar to our students.
The efforts come as a consequence of the water shortage that is impacting the area. To help save water in a time of crisis, among other measures, Caney schools will opt for food that utilizes less water to make, use disposable plates and utensils, avoid watering the football field, encourage the use of hand sanitizer instead of soap and water, and close down water fountains and bottle filling stations.
Instead of utilizing the local water, we actually bring in pallets of bottled water. We've been very lucky that local businesses and individuals have supported us with that, and so although we've had to use some school funds to help out with that, a lot of those come from donations.
The school district's not alone in the effort to save water. City officials mandate residents use water only for essential needs.
We've determined that if we have to and people are out watering yards and things, they'll get a notice in the mail. And if they still don't adhere to that, there will be fines attached after that.
The city is also taking other actions to minimize the impacts on residents. The water from the pool will be drafted and dechlorinated. Then the 130,000 gallons of water will be sent to the water lock to be used by residents. They will also pump water from below the dam back up into the water lock. Those measures will help keep Caney's reserve for another 3 months.
We're hoping and praying by then that we get rain of substantial rains. We're going to have water to fill up our resource water too, Timber Hill Lake again. And good Lord knows where we're at.
Until the rain comes, students in Caney schools and the entire community will be in conservation mode. In Caney, Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
Well, according to Caney's city administrator, in the worst case scenario, Caney will have semi-trucks haul in water to the city. Well, it's tough to cool down without water. Meteorologist Sam Lane joins us with a first look at weather.
You're right, Tanya. It's been a hot one out there. In fact, today was the second hottest day of the summer so far. We do have some storms on radar, but unfortunately they're really far away from Caney, Kansas. They're up in central Missouri right now. Severe thunderstorm watch in parts of Missouri until 3 a.m. this morning, including a few tornado warnings earlier. Now these storms are kind of making a little bit of a beeline to the south, but the main thing is they are going to stay east of us. We definitely need some rainfall in our area, but as we go through the next 24 hours, we're going to see temperatures dropping through the 80s down to about 80 degrees tonight for a low, if you want to call that a low. And then over the next day or so on the UV index, we're going to be looking at a very high, a 10, which basically means about 10 to 15 minutes before burn time. So make sure you're taking the precautions to stay hydrated as well. Looking down the lane, we have a very hot couple of days coming up. Low rain chances, cooler next week, but unfortunately the drought continues, and I'll have more on that in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Sam. Today is the start of the annual Marian Days in Carthage, Missouri. Tens of thousands of Vietnamese American Catholics flock to celebrate Marian Days despite the heat. KOAM's Amber Jenkins spoke with a doctor who's helping people stay cool.
On the first day of Marian Days, the National Weather Service issued an excessive heat warning. Despite the 100 degrees temperatures in Missouri, thousands of Vietnamese Christians from across the world flock to Marian Days.
This event is always in August, and it's the hottest month in Missouri. People don't mind it at all. I think the Blessed Virgin probably protects us because it always turned out to be good.
To combat overheating, the medical building is equipped with beds, IV bags, and more, all thanks to doctors working off the clock and donating medicine.
I am one of the many doctors who come here, and we all take the time off. It's a sacrifice because it's the time off and traveling. And some of us travel from very far and have to fly in. And then a lot of us bring equipments and medications to donate. But as I said, it's a joy for all of us.
For 8 years, Dr. Lay drives down from Southern Illinois to volunteer at Marion Days, treating everything from heat stroke to cuts needing stitches.
I was here last year too, the first year we opened up after COVID. And we was concerned because we did not know what it would turn out to be, but I was surprised. There were a big crowd. We had a few people who tested positive for COVID, but we really did not have any major issue at all. Everything went very smoothly last year.
Last year, COVID was the main concern, but this year's focus is on the heat. Dr. Lay is excited for the pre-pandemic crowds to return because he wants to aid others without the usual medical obstacles.
They're treated regardless and without any worry about insurance or pay, because that's what we are here for. We help them because we want them to have a memorable experience. The door is always open.
Reporting in Carthage, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
Well, Dr. Lay wants to remind everyone to stay hydrated. While Marion Days offers plenty of food, activities, and people to meet, the language barrier can provide some challenges. But for some, especially younger generations, it gives them an opportunity to not only use their native language, but to also learn a bit more English.
I remember even telling the teacher I would need to use the restroom would be hard. She would never understand me. I would just cry, never go back to school. But slowly, they started having this program at my school, which helped me learn some English, and slowly I got more friends. I wasn't the shy kid who didn't know how to talk, but I became more open, more wise, know how to use my words more.
Marion Days is set to continue through Saturday. Well, authorities yesterday arrested a Webb City man accused of stealing from a Dairy Queen and another business on 32nd Street in Joplin. Joplin police say this man, Jeffrey Hance, was observed abandoning stolen property at the Dairy Queen on 32nd Street that was recovered from the El Cabala de Oro Mexican restaurant. Further investigation revealed that El Cabala de Oro had been burglarized and the back door appeared to have forced entry. Hance was detained and arrested on 2 active felony warrants. An additional charge of burglary in the 2nd degree was forwarded to the Jasper County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. The Joplin Humane Society wants the city of Neosho to know it does not have any more room for animals. Efforts have been made to reach out to faithful friends, but that Neosho shelter says they're also filled to capacity. To further complicate matters, the situation leaves the Neosho Police Department with no place to take animals that they might usually pick up. They'll be limited to dangerous animals until the shelter space is available. Kansas fair season continues with the 107th annual Crawford County Fair just east of Girard. Area kids work hard all year long, and the fair gives them the opportunity to show off the results of that work. A lot of consideration goes into how these area kids show their livestock, including which type of animals to showcase.
I think goats take a little less of your time, so that way you can just do more things and focus on more things.
The fair offers everything from agriculture-related events to live music, a carnival, shopping, and great food. You can get more information on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, coming up, Congress introduces new legislation designed to fight loneliness.
The latest public health epidemic. It's isolation and loneliness. I'm Chad Pergram on Capitol Hill. More on that story coming up.
Many are calling loneliness and social isolation the next health crisis. And as Fox News' Chad Pergram reports, it's become such a glaring issue, politicians from both sides of the aisle are taking note and working together to create healthier communities.
Doctors, politicians, and researchers agree something has to be done to promote more social connection. The Surgeon General going as far as releasing an advisory declaring loneliness a public health epidemic.
While most people associate isolation and loneliness with mental health, there is robust scientific evidence linking it to these physical.
Social isolation increases your risk for heart disease, stroke, dementia, depression, and anxiety. According to the CDC, 1 in 3 adults ages 45 and older feel lonely in the U.S. Experts say there are several factors that lead us to this point, among them the divisiveness of social media and the pandemic shift to remote working and learning.
Certainly the pandemic accentuated an existing problem.
Now lawmakers are tackling the problem with a bipartisan bill introduced by Senator Chris Murphy.
Stand up in office in the federal government to study this problem of social isolation and loneliness and recommend ways that we can do better.
Some may think loneliness is a personal issue, but experts say that stigma is incorrect.
The underlying causes often originate in people's communities, in people's lives, where they work, where they go to school, their neighborhoods. And so there's certainly a role for the healthcare system as well as government.
Some politicians believe regulating social media would be a good first step, as many disappear behind screens for interaction, which is not as beneficial. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
Well, a new study finds strawberries could help you in 2 areas of overall health. San Diego State University scientists say 2 daily servings of strawberries could help slow down heart disease and cognitive decline in aging adults. The researchers say the strawberries are full of antioxidants and help drop cardiovascular risk that include hypertension, while also improving cognitive functioning. Well, Sam is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later, the Missouri High School Athletics Association has approved a Joplin-based non-school affiliated football team to play against school teams.
All right, another hot day across the 4 states with temperatures over 100 degrees. Of course, that's what we've been expecting and predicting, and it looks like we're going to be in for more of that. But first, let's enjoy this evening out at Seneca, Missouri at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Beautiful night shaping up there to take a look at the moon in the sky as well as a few stars. We have some thunderstorms off in the distance, and we'll show you that in a moment. There's the high of 103. This is the second time this year that we've hit that mark. 80 degrees for the low, 110 the record. Believe it or not, we didn't even get close to the record of 2011. And then 11 inches behind on the rainfall. But there are some storms up to the north and east of us, stretching across central Missouri, rapidly approaching Rolla with some very strong and damaging winds, much like what we had the other night in our area. Severe thunderstorm watch is in effect for St. Clair County until 3 a.m., but most of that is going to be up to the north and east. You can see the lightning there with the thunderstorms off in the distance, but nothing close to us. 92 right now, still at this hour in Joplin. South wind at 11, feels like 95. And the pressure is currently falling. When you look at temperatures across the region, this is what it feels like right now. 95 in Veneta, 92 in Parsons, same thing in Chautauqua, but it still feels like 101 in Nevada and in Stockton. And tomorrow, more of the same. We're going to feel like 111 in Nowata and Veneta. These are not the actual temperatures, but what it's going to feel like. 109 in Welch, 108 in Pittsburgh, so another brutal day out there as far as temperatures go. And then as we go into Friday, again, feeling like well over 105 to almost 110 degrees. So of course, we're going to be under heat advisories all the way through that period. Rain chances are going to be low for tonight, not zero, but pretty low, just isolated storms possible, especially to the north and east. And then as we go into the weekend, we're going to start to see an uptick in the precipitation chances. And so we might see a little bit of rain falling into the rain bucket, around 1/10 or so in most places. Some isolated areas might get a little bit more. And also there's a threat of severe weather with those storms on the weekend, mainly in the northwestern sections. And of course, we'll keep an eye on that with all the risks possible with that activity. So tonight, mostly fair with lows around 80 degrees, if you want to call that a low. And then tomorrow, Temperatures above 100 degrees once again, maybe isolated storm or two, especially to the south. Then as we go into Friday morning, lows once again in the upper 70s, showers up to the north, and then Friday afternoon, temperatures approaching 100 degrees yet again across the area. And then as we go into Saturday morning, a better chance of storms with lows in the 70s. How about the next 7 days? Well, as we go into the forecast, 103 again tomorrow, 99 on Friday, and then we finally start getting closer to normal on Sunday through the rest of the forecast, with also a better chance of showers and storms. Look at that, only 86 on Monday. Break out the parkas.
Hey, why not? After tomorrow, it's all downhill.
That's exactly right.
All right, thanks, Sam. Well, coming up, big changes for the IRS.
The IRS gets a $60 billion digital makeover. I'm Edward Lawrence at an IRS facility in McLean, Virginia. That story coming up.
An influential firm has downgraded the U.S. government's credit worthiness in part due to what it called an erosion of governance. Fitch Ratings says that America's AAA debt rating, the highest possible, has been lowered to a AA+. The report cited the recent debt ceiling debate in Congress that nearly led to a government default and, quote, steady deterioration in standards of governance over the last 20 years. Well, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen announces the biggest changes to America's tax filing system in decades. It's the cornerstone of a decade-long $60 billion program to modernize systems and improve tax enforcement. Fox Business correspondent Edward Lawrence has more from McLean, Virginia.
The IRS wants to make it easier for you to file your taxes by embracing a digital future. A new plan called paperless processing was announced by Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen on Wednesday. It calls for the agency to allow taxpayers to directly submit documents and correspondence digitally by 2024. And by 2025, all paper returns, documents, and letters to the IRS will be digitized.
It will enable taxpayers to see their documents, securely access their data, and save time and money.
If all goes well, the IRS estimates 94% of taxpayers will never have to send another piece of mail to the agency. It's part of a broader push to improve technology as a way of boosting customer service and winning over a skeptical public.
We are in the process of transforming the IRS into a digital-first agency. This paperless processing initiative is the key that unlocks other customer service improvements.
But some Republicans on Capitol Hill are vowing to cut funding for these initiatives, saying they'll be used to target low-income taxpayers with more audits. Yellen pushing back on those claims, saying she's going after the big fish.
The focus of our enforcement efforts is on peeling back the structures of large corporations, complex partnerships, and other high-income and high-wealth taxpayers to make sure they are paying their full bill.
The IRS says it's working on a plan to allow taxpayers to file directly with the agency without going through a tax professional. In McLean, Virginia, Edward Lawrence, Fox Business.
Up next, we'll learn how you can earn an extra $17,000 just for playing Uno. They say all work and no play is dull, so how about playing as a job? Mattel is looking for a chief Uno player, and it's dealing out big money for the role. It says the chosen candidate will earn more than $4,000 a week for 4 weeks in New York City. The job entails challenging strangers to play the new Uno Quattro family game. It also requires the player to make social media content involving Uno products. Mattel is accepting applications now, and the job is set to start next month. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. How the closure of yellow freight is impacting workers in Springfield and Baxter Springs, Kansas. Plus, the Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas is teaming up with area first responders. The Yellow Freight Trucking Company announced it was shutting down earlier this week. It'll affect 30,000 workers nationwide, and that includes workers at the Yellow Terminal in Baxter Springs, Kansas. It'll also impact 68 clerical and janitorial staff and drivers at the Yellow Freight operation near Springfield. Joe Hickman explains what happened and what's ahead.
Yellow Freight, also known as YRC, has been around for 99 years, known for moving shipments from numerous customers like Home Depot and Walmart in the same truck, known as less than truckload or LTL. But they're also known for struggling to turn a profit, and when you visit Yellow Freight's location in Stratford, you'll find chains around the gates and a note telling customers and employees the business has ceased operations.
This company's been on the verge of bankruptcy since the 80s.
Jeremy Manley is the president of Teamsters Local 245 in Springfield that represents 68 area union employees who are part of the 30,000 nationwide workers and 22,000 Teamsters affected by the shutdown. Yellow Freight was on the verge of bankruptcy when it closed and blamed its demise on the union, blocking the company's attempts to restructure its business and refinance debt.
Leadership at the International Brotherhood of Teamsters refuses to come to the table to discuss the future of our employees.
We have 68 members here in Springfield. Those members and the members across the country have consistently given back to this company through concessions in the contract, meaning 17% here, 25% here in order to try to keep this company afloat. And for their CEO to even lay out there that in any way this is the Teamsters' fault is absurd.
Last month, congressional investigators found that Yellow should have never received $700 million in emergency funding during the pandemic, and taxpayers still own 30% of the company.
In 3 years, how do you lose $700 million? I can't get my mind around that.
The company has been mismanaged from the top down, and that's what caused Yellow to eventually fold up.
As for what happens now for local employees?
Most of these people who are out of a job or on the back end of their career looking to retire, now they've got to go find a different job.
The good news is there are far more jobs available than people to fill them.
There's still going to be a need for drivers. There's been a lot of changes in the trucking industry, and so going forward, trucking companies are going to have to figure out a way to change with the times.
As for the Baxter Springs facility, it's unclear how many employees will be impacted. The Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas is teaming up with area EMS, sheriff's departments, and emergency management teams to provide health checks for residents. The first one was held today in West Mineral. They were offering free vaccines, vaccine education, and blood pressure checks. Cherokee County Sheriff's Office also handed out free gun locks.
Gun safety is a major importance, and maybe people don't have access to gun locks, so we are able to provide them to keep guns safe and away from kids. Theft prevention and scam, as the elderly get older, people call and they have a good story and they're trying to get money, so if we can educate them to keep them from getting their money stolen, that's always the best outcome.
The Health Center will be hosting a vaccine clinic on the first Wednesday of each month. The next one will be September 6th in Weir. Former President Trump is scheduled to appear in federal court in D.C. Thursday as he faces his third indictment this year. And there's no shortage of opinions over what it all means and what may happen next. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively reports from Washington.
Former President Donald Trump will face a judge at this courthouse in D.C. Thursday afternoon on charges of conspiring to subvert the results of the 2020 election leading up to the January 6th attack on the Capitol.
It was fueled by lies. Lies by the defendant.
Trump now faces 78 state and federal criminal counts, 34 in New York involving hush money payments to an adult film star, 40 in Florida in the classified documents probe, and these 4 new counts in Washington over alleged election interference. His lawyers appear poised to use freedom of speech as a focus of their defense.
It's the first time that a sitting president is attacking a political opponent on First Amendment grounds and basically making a criminal to state your position.
Trump posted on Truth Social Wednesday that the indictment has awoken the world to the corruption scandal and failure in the U.S. since he left the White House. Now members of Congress are weighing in.
So there's a double standard here, without a doubt, and it's not coincidental.
This is not political. This is judicial.
The indictment also lists 6 unnamed co-conspirators, but none are indicted themselves. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Well, America's ban on incandescent light bulbs has been a long time coming, 16 years in the making, and for the most part, it's now a reality. The rule was issued in 2007, then rolled back by the Trump administration. It was then updated last year by the Biden administration and went fully into effect yesterday. Well, a bit later, providing the best care for our four-legged friends.
A lack of diversity among veterinarians could impact the health of pets. I'm Marianne Rafferty. That and much more coming right up.
Well, we did it. We hit 103 for the second time this summer, and it looks like we're going to be in for more heat tomorrow, but we are seeing some changes in the forecast, so that's good news. Let's take a look outside right now at Seneca, Missouri at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, and as we put that in motion, you can see just a few clouds this morning and then high clouds this afternoon, but lots of blue sky and of course lots of sunshine allowed temperatures to really warm up rapidly, and a beautiful sunset shaping up across the area. There it is, 103 today, not even close to the record, believe it or not, of 110 set back in 2011, and we're still way behind on the rainfall. Storms are on the radar, but they're way up to the north and east away from us and also moving away from us. And there is a flash flood watch for parts of central Missouri, even some severe thunderstorm warnings. Look at all the lightning with this up towards the north and east. And we'll show you that on our tower cam. Looking up to the north and east, you can see the lightning there into the distance, quite continuous up there. Right now in Joplin, it's 92 degrees still at this hour, south wind at 11, feels like 95 because the dew point is currently at 67. And when you look at what it's going to feel like tomorrow, more of the same, 113 in Grove, how about that? 111 in Veneta, and 111 in Nowata as well. 108 in Fort Scott, just pretty much hot everywhere. Then as we go into Friday, again, temperatures feeling like 105 or more across the area as we head into Friday afternoon. Rain chances are going to be pretty close to zero for the next, say 12 to 24 hours. And then as we go towards tomorrow night into Friday morning, we might see an uptick in some shower activity. Most of that is going to stay to the north and east tonight. And then as we go towards Sunday morning, or Sunday evening, I should say, you can start to see some scattered showers moving across the area, maybe dumping a half inch or so, isolated amounts heavier across our area. So at least we have a chance of rain in our forecast. Not tonight though, pretty much lows in the upper 70s to around 80. Then as we go into tomorrow afternoon, highs in the low 100s once again, isolated storms at best. And then as we go into Thursday night and Friday morning, a better chance of showers, especially up towards the north, with lows in the mid 70s. And then Friday afternoon, hot again, temperatures in the or around 100 degrees for afternoon highs. And then Saturday morning, better chance of showers and thunderstorms rolling across our area with lows in the mid 70s. So we have that to look forward to. Over the next 30 days, we're expected to be a little bit above normal on temperatures, but not too far away below normal. And on the precipitation, the good news is we're expecting to be a little bit above normal for the next 30 days, and hopefully that will verify. Let's take a look at the next 7 days. 103 tomorrow, 99 on Friday, 98 on Saturday, finally getting back closer to normal on Sunday through the rest of the forecast, with also a better chance of showers and storms. But I love that 86 on Monday. That's going to feel like a cold wave around here. And I'm digging those nightly temperatures too. Me too. We can just get past the rest of this week and smooth sailing. Smooth sailing, that's right. All right, thanks, Sam. Well, coming up in sports, Northeastern Oklahoma A&M hires a new head volleyball coach. Plus, Pittsburgh American Legion Post 64 begins play in its regional tournament. John Dales has those stories and more up next.
It's an exciting time of year for local baseball, and that includes the Pittsburgh American Legion Patriots from Post 64, who have qualified for a regional tournament in Pelham, Alabama, and begin playing tonight. Now, game one of their tournament happening right now. Patriots currently trail 1-0 in the bottom of the second. That game, with a little bit of a delayed start, was supposed to get started at 7:30, more like 9. So it'll be a late night at the ballpark. They got here by doing what you're seeing right now, beating Iola 3 times in the Super State tournament. And in tonight's game, the Patriots did get out of a bases-loaded jam in the second. Here's a look at what Pittsburgh is up against. Again, right now they're in Game 4 against the host team from Shelby City, Alabama. Now, a year ago, those same two teams, they played against each other in the losers bracket in this tournament. Pittsburgh won that game. Regardless of win or loss tonight, though, the Patriots cannot be eliminated because this is a double elimination tournament. And big news for the Cornerstone Spartans, an 8-man high school football team. made up of players that are homeschooled or don't want to compete with the school that they attend. They find out they've been approved for competition by the Missouri State High School Activities Association. And football head coach Taryn Pullum says this news is exactly the kind of break that his program needs.
It's huge, honestly, and we're approved as approved competition, meaning we can't compete in playoffs or anything in Missouri. But the biggest upside for us here is before becoming approved competition, we couldn't play any Missouri schools, meaning that we had 3 or 4 3-hour or 4-hour car rides a year to go up to Wichita or Little Rock, places, or Topeka, places like that, just to play a full season. So hopefully now we can play some of these more local teams and not have to travel so much. And we're hoping that that will, entice some parents to let their homeschool boys play football.
And Northeastern Oklahoma A&M as a new head volleyball coach, Sarah Wall. The Lady Norse fans can rest easy about the fact that she has a long track record of success over the past couple decades right here in the 4 states. Starting first with her high school coaching career, Wall led the Webb City and Carl Junction programs for more than 20 seasons and laid claim to more than 400 victories along the way. She's also been inducted into the CJ Athletics Hall of Fame. Most recently, she was an assistant coach at Pitt State, and NEO begins its 2023 season in 3 weeks from tomorrow on August 24th against Ozark Christian in Miami. But bringing things back to that 8-man football team, really cool thing, and also it shows you how much people care about football in the 4 states that they were willing to drive 3 or 4 hours, 3 or 4 times a year just to play football.
Yeah, it's a really big deal, and it's important that these kids have opportunities like this,
Definitely.
and they don't need to be wasting their time on the road for 3 hours, like
Exactly.
you said.
Yeah.
So it's serious.
It is.
All right. We'll be back with more news after this. In order to protect pets across the country, a growing number of veterinary professionals are calling for their field to become more diverse. They cite how a lack of representation in vet medicine can impact the overall health of animals. Fox News correspondent Marianne Rafferty finds out why.
No matter what kind of pet you may have, looking after their well-being is an owner's top priority. And especially with the pandemic having led to a rise in pet ownership, more people now have animals that will need to see a vet to ensure they're healthy. But according to a growing number of veterinary professionals, a lack of diversity in their workforce may prevent more people from wanting to have a career in this field, leading to fewer vets in the future, which can compromise the overall health of animals.
In order to attract young people to veterinary medicine, they need to see people that look like them.
Out of the more than 100,000 vets in the U.S., nearly 90% are white, less than 2% are Hispanic, and practically none are African American. This according to the latest data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And this lack of diversity means there aren't enough vets to cater to the diverse populations they serve.
People from all walks of life and backgrounds tend to gravitate towards their specific communities, and so it's important that the veterinary profession be diverse to meet all the needs of society.
That's why many vets are encouraging kids from all backgrounds to explore a career in animal medicine while they're young.
It's great to foster it in the, in the early junior high school time, because I think there's a lot of prep that you can do to be more ready and more successful at just launching into that career.
And it's a good time to enter the field. The Bureau of Labor Statistics expects jobs for vets and vet technicians will grow 16% by the year 2029. Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
Got milk? Your answer may be yes, but are you willing to share? Coming up, a real estate agent is nailed for chugging milk from a seller's fridge. Milk may do a body good, but it doesn't do your career any good if you're in real estate and you drink it from your client's fridge, straight out of the container. Jeannie Moose has the story.
Milk. The civilized way to drink it is out of a glass versus guzzling it out of a jug, unless, of course, you're celebrating a win at the Indy 500. But it was no victory when a Canadian real estate agent got caught on surveillance video opening the fridge and chugging out of the milk jug for about 6 seconds while alone in Liska Fullerton's home, waiting to show it to potential buyers.
Why? Why would somebody do that?
Mike Rose almost closed the fridge, then opened it again for another lingering look. The Fullertons were angry, having each lost a parent to COVID.
The idea of it just, it just grosses me out.
Because of the way he
got milk.
Mike Rose got whacked with almost $17,000 in penalties and costs. The British Columbia Financial Services Authority calls it conduct unbecoming. The homeowner confronted Rose last summer when the episode happened.
I asked him, I said, is there anything you want to tell me about the last time you were in my home? And he said, oh, the milk incident? He was just so nonchalant about it.
Fullerton says he also accidentally broke her couch by sitting on the arm. CNN wasn't able to reach Rose, but he has apologized for his very unfortunate and very uncharacteristic decision, telling local outlet CFJC, "I have never done this kind of thing before, nor will I ever behave in this way again." He told the authority he was unusually dehydrated because he was taking new medication and under considerable stress.
What did you do with the milk?
I threw it away.
Hide your milk when Mike's around, wrote one joker on Rose's Facebook. He's had to move to a new real estate firm. Mike Rose found out what the star of Anchorman already knew.
Milk was a bad choice.
Ginny Mose, CNN.
Get a glass. Just get a glass.
And doesn't he know you drink water for hydration? Well, that's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We'll leave you with a bundle of cuteness. Video just released from a British zoo of endangered twin red panda cubs. Have a great night and an even better tomorrow.